Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. We are back with the Ted Show, and today I have a new guest. She is, I don't know, either you have so much that you have going on and so much good that you do. But I'd be remiss if I didn't say welcome, Kat Ramirez. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on your show.
I'm excited because you also have a show, and we're both figuring out LinkedIn Live, and you do a phenomenal job of it. But you have so much more. We want to talk about advertise. We want to talk about stand out and grow. But first, we want to get to know Kat Ramirez. So give them a little bit of background on you.
Yeah. So I was in corporate America for about 27 years. And
Wow, you started young.
I know.
Love it.
And I worked for like ABC, NBC, CBS, Telemundo, every network that you can imagine. And I got tired of moving because you had to move in order to grow, unfortunately. So in 2014, I kind of got fed up with, I knew I wasn't going to move again. And I was here in Milwaukee and I was like, I love it here. So I decided to be an entrepreneur. I saw the opportunity because in my 27 years of advertising, businesses always told me all the time that, the number one objection was always, I can't afford to advertise, Kat, you know?
Still is,
And
isn't it?
no, it totally still is. Trust me, it totally still is. And so it was a lack of education, advocacy, and just basically consultants helping them understand their advertising options. So, advertising marketing options. So, I created our business motto so that we could help the little guy, the one who actually needs it the most,
Right.
And so in 2015, I quit my job and then away we go. So
Was that scary?
I created yes, it was. It's always scary. Yeah. I don't think people understand and realize how tough it is to start a business. And in fact, because I'm a veteran and I thought, oh, I can do this because, if I went and trained.
That's true. Thank you for your service. I did read that.
Thanks. So I figured if I went and trained and became a veteran, in the armed services, I thought, oh, I can do this.
You can do this.
Nah,
Now, you know what it is? Is it looks all glamorous because you're not reporting to anybody and
right.
there's nobody to answer to. But what you don't understand is you're answering to payroll and rent
Yep.
and IRS, and you have lots of people to answer to
Yeah.
that you didn't have to deal with
Mouths to
before.
feed too.
Yes, and then you take it when you have people that work for you. You take it so personally, and I know so often, especially in our early days, we would pay the staff before we paid
Yep.
ourselves because that's what you do in order to stay alive. You can't. But the advertising was always interesting. So as a small business, I'm sure I put up the exact same argument. Well, I can't afford that, Cat, and I probably missed out on a lot of opportunities doing the wrong kind of advertising. So you created ad ties to kind of address that to help the smaller
Absolutely.
guy.
Yes. And because what I saw was when I asked people, well, why aren't you doing any marketing or advertising? And so I got a lot of different response, but consistently was always they had the perception that advertising was expensive, you know, and because they saw it as traditional media, TV, radio, print, billboard, of course, and then the second one was they had the funds, they knew they had to do it. They just couldn't understand the ROI, return on investment, and they couldn't understand, how to compare advertising mediums against each other. So they weren't going to spend money if they weren't well versed in it.
Correct.
And so, it's a matter of, and now me as an entrepreneur, I get it because I'm not buying TV, radio, none of those big stuff, I
Well,
do.
nobody. It's so unsure out there, especially right now. Everything's unsure. So you create your platform, though, is more for the small guy and girl, or at least it started that way.
Yes, I'm well, and it's interesting is that's how we began the platform, and then we got like a major account that had parking lots in 8 states, and then we got a franchise company. So it started out. I think people are attracted to my premise and my mission in that we create efficiencies so that we're not going to spend money just to spend money,
So are you
What a
right?
concept.
Well, because I think that's also another fear. It's the same kind of fear that people have with social media marketing companies too, digital marketing. They're not sure. Are you going to overspend? If
Yeah.
I'm paying XYZ, am I spending too much? Where's my, because everybody wants ROI
Oh,
immediately.
yeah.
I mean, I just signed with you, Kat. Nobody's calling yet. I mean, I've probably been that other person.
Oh, yeah.
But talk about what you created, because there are a lot of options out there for people to advertise, to market, and sometimes so many that I think people get paralyzed and they don't do anything.
Right. Right. So, what we typically do is we have the discovery call, because we want to make sure that we understand the business needs and their budget, and then what their goals are. Because I'm really, really big on, hey, Randy said hi, Ted. Hey,
Hi,
Randy.
Randy.
Make sure you drop any questions.
Yes.
But
So
I'm
you're a
really,
pro at this. I forget this. I'm actually supposed to have
yeah, you got to be
your face
engaging
up
your
there while we're
audience, Todd.
speaking. Yeah, I know. I'm so fascinated by you and my guests that I forget. Hi, Randy. All right, go ahead.
I love it. So it's really, really important to understand the business and what their expectations are. And it's always interesting, because when I meet with somebody and I get all this feedback and they say, I need this, let's say it's social media, okay? And then we have the meeting and stuff, and I'm like, you don't need social media. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes, I absolutely do. I
yeah,
do,
because
because I think people, that's the other thing. They go in with an idea of what they need. And reality, a lot of times it's that they would be the ones overspending if they were in charge of it. And you're there trying to help them cater it to their actual real needs.
right, right. And it goes to, I had a live cast on branding versus lead generation. Okay. And I think a lot of people don't understand the dialogue of lead generation. Lead generation means exactly what it's saying. It's you're trying to get actual people interested in your goods, products, and services, as opposed to just branding. Branding's not going to get you lead generation. And so in my little discovery calls and what have you, I teach people, these really tangible things that even if they didn't do anything with me, they at least have solid information, and they understand maybe the difference, or they understand, like, I shouldn't be looking at this. I should be looking at something else that's really going to give me the results that I need.
What's one of the things that you tell them in the beginning that's really uh, just eye-opening for most of them? Like, I'm sure they have aha moments, because again, they go in with this preconceived notion
Yeah.
about what they want and need.
Yeah.
So when you're giving advice, when you're on that first consult and you're talking to them, is there one thing or two things that people go,
Yeah.
what? Wow, I should be doing that?
Being consistent.
Isn't that an amazingly simple concept that we just are horrible about as a whole?
And I always try to relate it to people in the most relatable way I can. And, losing weight is probably the easiest one. Is, hey, when you want to lose weight, are you just going to stop eating one day and it's
Right.
gone? No, you got to work at it.
That's a dream. That's a dream scenario right there.
That's right.
But it doesn't work that way, and that's good, because I think people really do have an expectation. Like, I remember, I'm old enough, I used to do ads in Coupon Corner, or that thing where they would send it out or drop it, and I used to think, God, I'm spending so much money on that. I don't even know what my return is. And it was, but I knew it, but I didn't know anything better. And so it was easy, and it was something I was used to.
Yeah.
And until I realized, hey, I don't need phone book ads anymore.
Right.
I don't need certain things, but I talked to a professional like you, and that's where it changed.
Yeah. You make a very, very valid point, because probably pre-pandemic or pre-market crashing or anything like that, people would spend money, and they were so used to spending it that they just spent it just because it was in place. And then when the market crashed, or when there's a pandemic or whatever, when there's a disruption and they cut out stuff, and they're like, wow, I'm still getting the same results. And so it's more of a matter of really understanding and knowing what you're spending your money on, to understand
Right.
the return on it. Do you know what I'm saying? Because you should
Yes.
be affected by it. If it made an impact on your business, right? And you canceled it, it should have had an effect if it was working.
Correct.
If it wasn't, then it didn't have an impact. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think people don't. You absolutely, and I think, but people would prefer to go along with what they've always
Yes.
done than
It's
shift,
comfort.
than make a shift because it's easy. It's like life and relationships and all sorts of things. You get into a pattern and you're like, well, you know what? I know I'm throwing $300, $500 away every month, but whatever, it's easy. I don't want to stop it. It might have an impact. You're not doing yourselves any favors, that business or anybody in the world, by not really evaluating and reevaluating
Right.
where you're spending your money.
Yeah. So yeah, and so you see a little bit of that, and then people always ask me, "Is there a saturation point?" No, nobody's ever. You're never going to hit everybody. There's no way in
You're
hell.
not. You're not. People will say that, like they're like your social media, you're everywhere. Well, it just appears that I'm everywhere because I'm consistent.
Right.
And they don't get the equation, the consistency part. Like, I'm everywhere because I've consistently been consistent.
Right.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I don't think there could be too much of one thing, or if that's all you're doing and you're just blanketing it. But someone like you, like Advertise, you guys, I'm sure, create the program for them and what would make the most sense for them based on your experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because at the end of the day, what I want to do is stretch the dollar as far as I can, so that there is efficiency. And then the other thing is just being transparent. I've been in this industry for so long. There was no transparency.
Yeah.
No accountability.
There's not. I'm sure it's better from your perspective while you bring it, but I think that that is why there's a lot of people who are intimidated by or avoid anything to do with advertising or social media management, where you're paying someone to do something because there have been so many charlatans, is a nice word, but so many crooks out there that take advantage, and then they got no return, and so all social media is now bad, all advertising is now bad. And it's unfortunate because you all and advertising companies as a whole, and it doesn't matter what your word is, advertising, social media, there are differences. But if you're thinking about growing your business, which you should be, especially right now, you should really be thinking about it. Then getting a professional to help you with it is what you want. So what's the relationship with Stand Out and Grow?
So basically, because I preach and I say be consistent, it's the whole point of you can't stand out and grow if you're not consistent. And I have a great example, Ted, if I can share it.
Please.
Okay. So, and I love telling this story, so I'm happy to share it on your show.
I love it.
So I always tell businesses in my workshops or whatever, I ask people, I'm going to ask your audience, who knows McDonald's? Raise your hand.
I like it.
Yeah. Randy, you did not raise your hand.
Okay. You did not, Randy.
But so McDonald's is a great example. They're a multi-billion-dollar company that's well branded, right? You see those golden arches and you're like, whoa.
Right.
You're thinking French fries or Big Mac or whatever the case may be. Babies come out of the womb asking for those nuggets, That's how well branded people are with McDonald's, And so they're a very good legacy company, but they started off as a mom and pop shop just like anybody else,
Sure did.
And so what I like to talk about is McDonald's today, okay? And big picture. So, people have to think big picture. So McDonald's today, the well-branded multi-million-dollar company, their strategy is you're never, ever, ever, ever going to see McDonald's dark. What do I mean? You're never going to see McDonald's not on a billboard, not on TV, not on a coupon. You're never going to see it because they know that if they don't remind you and I to buy a Big Mac every single day, they will lose hundreds and thousands of dollars, right? And so what I tell small businesses is you're no different. Why would you use a different strategy? You're not going to spend the money they spend and you're not going to use the platforms they use. You're going to use that strategy because that is what works. And
Yes.
again, it's the whole parlay to being consistent and making sure that you're reminding people every single day, day after day after day, when and why to buy or shop you, and that's
I
all
think
you're doing.
I think people get overwhelmed by consistency, and I understand why. If you say you're going to do, like for example, I do the show every day. If you say
Yep.
you're going to do the show every day, I learned this from show number one. Then I have to do the show every day, or at least have a really good reason, because somebody, and most of the time, it's a lot of people will say, "Where was your show today? What are
Right.
you doing?" So if you're advertising and you're the best, I don't know, lawn maintenance company on the planet, and you want to let bigger clients know, you have to have some sort of consistency built into how you're letting them know, because they're not just going to say, "Oh my God, Kat Ramirez, you're the best person I know in lawn maintenance," just because you sent me this one ad one time,
Right.
or I read it once. And I think people get so caught up in the short game that
Yeah.
they forget about the long game.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And it's not really hard to be consistent if you schedule it. And it's not hard to be consistent if it's just like creating any other habit. It's creating a habit. That's all it is. And if you create the habit, it'll go in place. And consistency for social media, is at least 3 times a week. It's not that hard. The more that you do it, if you do it 5 times a week, 7 times, the better for you. But if you don't have the capacity to do it, shoot for something, target, and go
Right.
for it.
Well, yeah, I think they think consistency. People do, and this is in general. It's on anything that's advertising related,
Yeah.
marketing and social media. They think, well, I can't do it 3 times a week, and that's what Kat just said. So I guess I shouldn't do it at all. And it's the worst thinking. Look, these are just goals. So start with once a week.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not even committed to that, then yeah, you're probably not ready for anything at this moment. But if you commit to once a week and then see how that goes.
Yeah.
I mean, I could do one a week in my sleep, and I think most people could. I'm not good at scheduling, so I have a lot to learn, and I don't do the things, a lot of them, that you're saying right now. So being completely authentic, I am a work in progress when it comes to that, and I think a lot of people are. The difference is I'm not going to give up just because I
Right.
don't meet something in my head that I set as the goal for the week.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think motivation should be your competitors are doing something to get a competitive edge. If you're not growing your business, if you look back 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, and you're not growing and you're flatlined,
yep,
you need to rethink what you're doing. So,
I
I mean,
agree.
there's a lot of indicators that you need to look at to say, okay, I need a kick in my ass and I need to do something. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Because you certainly don't want to be flat year after year after year. Like, why are you in business then?
Correct. And right now, so let's talk about the now,
Hmm.
because we're sort of beginning to reopen and we're
Yeah.
reemerging, and there's all sorts of fun words for that. But what are you seeing on the marketing side, advertising
Yep.
side? What are you seeing? And then once you share that, just tell us: is this a good time? In your opinion, is this still a good time to be marketing and out there advertising yourself?
Hell yes. Hell yes. Because everybody's pulled back. And so I had a great conversation this morning from a lady who is open now. And she said, I need help. I need people to know I'm open. And I said, oh my God, that is awesome. That is awesome. And good for you to start thinking about that and doing something about it, because she doesn't want to be open and nobody come through the doors.
Right.
Everybody was bitching, moaning, and groaning. Let's open. Let's open. Right. Okay. Well, you got to tell people you're open now.
Why
And
is that so hard? I agree. It's
yeah.
rampant. Like, there are organizations that approach me and say, I want to do a promo on the show.
Yep.
Fantastic. But I can't do it for, I don't know, another 6 weeks. Listen, it's no skin off my back, my
Right.
teeth, anything. But why would you wait 6 weeks?
Well, you shouldn't. Your market is still your market. Your audience is still your audience.
I understand that it becomes overwhelming, but I think that what you're offering, And what legitimate, positive companies like Advertise offer are a relief for something that you're not good at as a small business,
Right.
or will relieve you from that part of it so you can focus on the things that are good for your business.
Right.
Um, and so I think people just get caught up. What about so from a cost perspective, I'm not asking for specifics, but one of the
Mhm.
things that people worry about is it's this giant upfront fund. I've got to figure out how to pay them for a whole year. And what if I don't want to commit to a year? And a lot of that comes from the fact that the charlatans that I was
Yep.
talking about earlier made it so you had to cut a check for 10 grand right now, and this is how it's going to be. And you won't hear from me from months 3 through 12, but you certainly already paid me up front. So what
Yep.
difference?
That's a great question, Ted. I'm glad you asked that question because to me, that's a little old school. If a company does that to you, like nowadays, we have a lot of partners that we work with. Nowadays, a good company is going to let you do month to month. And they'll tell you up front, they'll say, if you want to cancel, give us a 30-day notice and you're
Yep.
out. Because the thing is, the more that a company can offset that stress and anxiety, right? The better for that company. And quite frankly, I'll tell you, I have these plans in place with companies that have been doing business with me since I opened. And, I think people have a commitment issue. Like if I said,
Yes.
hey, you're in it for a year, and then, and those people are more likely once the year's out to bounce off and do something else. Whereas the people that are month to month, they stay with you because they have so much flexibility. They don't feel the pressure. You're
Right.
not really putting these high strains on them. And then if you think about budget wise, here's my big go-to is for any business is, bare minimum, you should at least invest 5% of not your total revenue, but your profit, right? Because it's a
Yes.
smaller number. And if 5% is too much, then figure out a percentage that you can live with, that you can work with, that will be for the life of your company. Because again, it's just like a gym membership. If you're trying to lose weight, you're in it for the long haul, right? You're in it for the long haul.
Right.
It's just like paying rent. It's just like paying your insurance. It's just like any other, component of your business. You have to see it like that. If you see it as, oh, I'm going to try this, see if it sticks, or, oh, I'm going to, I'll try this, or I'm going to take a break. I'm just not going to do anything. And I'm going to ride the wave that I had before. Hell no, that wave's gone. And wait, you are not riding a
So
wave.
gone.
Right. And so, I even me during the pandemic, did I cut back? Yes. I trimmed as much meat as I could, but I'm still out there. I still have a budget and I'm still out there. It's not my total budget, but I kept it in place because I know I have to remind people over and over and over. And so, it's being strategic and knowing, okay, if your budget's really, really small, let's do some retargeting,
Right.
let's
Right.
retarget and retargeting, so if nobody knows what this means, I'm going to educate your audience.
Please do.
Retargeting is anybody who is serious about you went to your website. If they were serious and they went to your website, you're going to remind them with retargeting ads. Remind them over and over. Hey, remember? Do you know what I'm saying? And it's cheap and it's affordable. And so at the very least, do some retargeting. And if you can't do that, then do some really good engagement ads to just awareness. Hey, you might be thinking about it. All of these are really, really affordable. I mean, if you did Facebook ads, you can spend as little as $1 a day.
$1 a day, guys. I mean, and you don't have to know everything in order to experiment with $1 a day.
Oh, yeah.
I tweak when I did those. I haven't done them in a while, but when I did those, I would tweak the demographic. There's
Right.
lots of things that you can do without being a technology genius.
Right.
And these companies make it easy. However, if you want to take it a step further and don't want to mess with that, then you have people like Kat Ramirez.
Right.
Because
Right.
I don't know
Right.
everything.
Yep. Yeah. And then again, just to circle around on what you were saying, Todd, is good companies to partner with and work with are people that are going to listen to what budget can you live with. They're not going to impose these grandiose budgets that are going to like put you out of pocket. And, that's just not, it's not the method to do. Or if I were working with a company like that, I'd be like, red flag, red flag. Oh my God,
Yeah,
I got to run.
and don't just be. And a lot of people go the opposite way. Oh, this one is going to charge me XYZ, which is double the one before. So that one must be the best one.
Oh yeah.
And that kind of thinking also is flawed,
Yeah.
guys. Go with someone like Kat's talking about that. You also have to feel there's a comfort level too. So
Right.
you're spending money. You've got to feel comfortable. You got to feel like the communication's open.
Yep.
Do your vetting, which is what we sort of do on the TED Show. That's why we bring people on like Kat Ramirez. Uh, Video, really quick before I
Yep.
ask my last question. How important is video from your perspective for the advertising, marketing, social media, digital world?
This is another great question. Wow, how do you know these questions? These are awesome. So I actually went to a social media influencer market, whatever conference, and this was a year ago. And the prediction was, okay, from all of these leaders was that video was going to take over all of social media in, like they said, 4 to 5 years. Here's my guess is the pandemic shortened that lifespan. It will be
Agreed.
sooner. It will be sooner. So if people aren't doing video, they're going to miss the boat and they're going to be behind. So, when you do these lives, Ted, and anything else that you're doing video wise, this is putting you ahead of the game. The whole social media world will be, you'll see a lot of videos, and it's because people are time starved. They have short attention spans, but they want a quick fix. We're still no different as a society. We're like in a hurry and we want our quick fix.
Yeah, we do. All right. So how can people reach you? If somebody says, all right, I love her, I want to do business with Kat, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Reach out to me on LinkedIn. I can certainly leave a comment in my link to my LinkedIn here. Or you can go to the website. If you go to the website, you can actually do a free SEO test on your website, search engine optimization. I do free consults. There's a calendar link on my website.
Nice.
So it doesn't cost a dime to learn and educate yourself about, what you should be aware of and stuff. Or just email me. Oh, you got the website link down here.
I do.
Email me at info@advertise.com.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So much great information. Thank you.
Thank
That
you.
was really, really great.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on. I need to learn from you. So we'll schedule a time about that because there's a lot I could be doing.
Awesome.
But thanks for being collaborative spirit wise. And I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
All right. You guys reach out, advertise, Kat Ramirez. Thank you guys. We'll be back a little later on. See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.